Welcome to the Life Podcast with BFR, a space where we celebrate life, support families, and inspire our community to thrive. In today's episode, we discuss our parenting education program and that every family has value, with Danielle Burlison, our director for BFR Academy.
Well, good morning.
Hey, Tessie.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Life Podcast with BFR. How are you this morning, Sarah?
Doing good. Unfortunately, both Tess and I are getting over colds, and Tess with the flu. So we apologize in advance if there's any coughing or sniffling, but we are on the mend, thankfully.
With our pile of cough drops over here. I know it's been rough out there. Probably many of you have been sick as well. So it's, spring could not get here fast enough for me.
Right. I'm ready. I'm ready for warmth.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm so excited this morning. We have one of our very dear friends and someone that BFR could not survive without, Miss Danielle Burlison. Good morning, Danielle.
Hi. So I am the only non-sickly one in the room.
Trying to keep our coughs over here to ourselves.
Yes. Yes.
We are so excited to have you here this morning, Danielle. Thank you for being with us this morning.
I'm so excited to be here. This has been a long time coming in the podcast, so I'm excited to be here with y'all.
Yeah, we're so excited too. Well, Danielle, just go ahead and share with our listeners, because although we jokingly say at BFR that all the roads lead back to you, and so many people in our community know who you are. And funny fact, you and I actually went to high school together.
We did.
So super fun to get to reconnect in life and get to be co-workers together. But share with us, who are you? Who are you? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast in itself. But even though I went to school in Cartersville and we really did life in Cartersville, my mom was a teacher here. Really 30 plus years. Many people remember Miss Reichard. She was a fifth grade teacher at the elementary school. But we did life here in Cartersville, but really I grew up in Adairsville. So Adairsville, back in the day was 1-lane roads and one red light and one grocery store. So to do anything fun, you were just going to Food Lion. Or back in the day, it was S&H. So it was like this little, small grocery store. And that was just the place that you went to do anything in Adairsville. So I grew up in Adairsville, and I have 2 brothers. And a great family, great support at home. And actually just the support that I've had from my family and just caring for my kids and my marriage, all of those things. That's really what led me to BFR and to be able to invest in people that don't have that don't have community. So even though we grew up and did, life with friends here in Cartersville, I didn't know about BFR. So I don't know if you had a similar experience with just being in Cartersville. Were you even familiar with BFR?
I was not growing up. No.
Yeah, me neither. So just that good upbringing of just having great community and great support just really drew me to BFR and the mission of BFR.
Tell us a little bit about your family.
So I have 2 kids. I've got a 9-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old boy. And I know you've got teens in your house as well. It is a new challenge. It's a great, it's a wonderful experience, but it does have challenges of its own. I used to say marriage was my greatest sanctification, and now I say I think it's a teenager. So, but yeah, my kids are precious. Love them. Been married to Nathan now for 21 years.
Wow, congratulations.
This March, 21 years. So I turned 40 this past year, and Nathan and I just kind of joke about it. We're officially married more than half of our life.
Yeah. Wow.
And that is so weird to think about, but
it is.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, we're babies.
That. We were babies. I was 19 turning 20 when I got married. So,
That's amazing. Yeah. So tell us, you kind of mentioned a little bit about what drew you to BFR, but I would love for you to share how you got involved. And I'm biased because I was there. So
you were there.
I love this story and just your heart. So, if you can kind of talk a little bit about that.
So Sarah, back in the day, you know, she ran the front desk and planned the events and answered the phones. I mean, she did everything. And yeah, so we met when she was on the front lines there. But the big reason, and I talked a little bit around this, just having community and support. I'll never forget sitting upstairs in my parents' house as we were having our house built. Have you ever built a house?
I have.
Okay. So
I have not.
You know the pain.
Run.
Yes, of house building. So 18 months we lived with my parents, and Izzy was a little baby. And I remember sitting on the couch and I was feeding her. And I was just overwhelmed with the fact that, you know, never am I going to experience what it feels like to not have support. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't have a home right now, but I have a home. My parents have always stepped in and been able to sort of hold me up during those times that we just needed that extra support. And it was a time where there was a lot of turmoil and tension in the media just around life in general. And I will never forget, you know, Kim always says there's such power in a Facebook post. Mm-hmm. So as I'm feeding Izzy, she was probably 7-8 months old. And I'm kind of scrolling through Facebook and I see this post. I wish I could tell you the title or anything else in it other than the fact that the young girl that wrote the post, it was a blog. She stated that there really isn't a place for women to process sexual health questions or get support around parenting. And, you know, we say that we want these people to choose life, but we're not giving them what they need to do that. We're not giving them the tools they need or the support they need. And so the big question that she asked is, so how do we change? What do we do about it? And that was where the Lord sort of just stirred me. And okay. And you know, Sarah knows me pretty well. So I'm going big picture. I'm like, how do I start this in Adairsville? Like, how do I create this place where people can come and be able to get the support they need, you know? And so I slowed down a little bit and decided to put a post out to my friends, like, where do people go to process these types of things? And, you know, where can they go for support and what can I do about it? And our friend Ann Scarlett Irwin. Yes. She's Marrow now. You know, she got married. We all got married names now. So she posted on there, we need to check out Bartow Family Resources. And I thought, okay, well, check it out. Happened to go on the website and it was the Night of Life that night. And
that was our fundraising event that year.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
Yes. And it was happening that night. And I just felt this prompting. So I asked my mom, hey, can you watch Izzy so that I can just go find out about this place? And so I call, it was probably 4:55, okay, that I'm calling the center and Kim Lewis picks up the phone. And y'all, Kim was just like, I'm telling her, hey, you know, I really want to know more about you guys. And I saw that you have your fundraiser. And she's just like, honey, you come on. It doesn't matter if we turn in our count or if you have a ticket, you just come on. So I did, and it changed my life. I thought, okay, wow. First of all, there was relief because someone else had already figured it out.
Yeah, there's already somebody doing this work.
Yes, yep. Yes. But secondly, like, I just could partner in some way. And at the time I had a job. And so all I could do was come on my lunch break.
I think you came in the very next Monday.
Yes.
And
wow.
I can't remember if you called first or if you just
walked
call.
In. Did you call? Okay. I was on my lunch break. I'm like, I guess I'm just going to call because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. But then she walked in and I swear I probably cried.
You did. You had your bag of chips in the filing cabinet with your maybe Coke, I think.
Probably. But, you know, at that time, this was this 2017, I think?
2016. Yeah, 2016.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And, we were only a staff of 4 at that time. Mm-hmm. So, we had our 3 directors, and then I was the admin support front desk. And, we just did things as we could and as we had time. And so there was often days where I was at the front desk sorting clothes and trying to get stuff out in the store. And our volunteers, of course, would help with that as well, but they're also serving clients. And then I think at that point we hadn't had a large group come in a little bit. And so we had just gotten piled up and
wait. Piled up.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm getting there. But we hadn't opened our clinic at this point. And so that room that is now our director's office for the clinic. This is a fairly large room.
Yeah.
It was like floor to ceiling.
Literally.
you couldn't hardly move in there. It was so full of donations, which is an incredible problem to have. We just didn't have
the manpower
to keep up with the donations that we were getting. And so Danielle walked in, and I do think I probably cried and she was like, "You want to come on your lunch break?" Yes, absolutely. Let me show you this massive room full of clothes. And, it probably did daunt you, but you didn't let that on. Like, you were just like, okay, this is something tangible that I can do. I can come in on my lunch break and I can help work through these donations.
Yeah. And by piled up, okay, yes, there was the room piled up, but it was like I would get the room figured out and then I would go in the copier room and there are bins of clothes.
Yes.
Literally
everywhere.
Tucked in every corner. And just, from there, one thing led to another. And I actually left my job to volunteer full time for, a good year. And then Kim was finally like, if you come back, we're putting you on staff. And I really, this is a weird thing about me, like getting into something you want to know about me. A lot of times I feel like if you pay me for something that I enjoy, I won't enjoy it anymore. And it drives my husband crazy. He's like, you could get paid for so many things that you do, but then it won't be fun. Right. So I was worried about that. And Kim was just like, well, you know what the word says, that you're going to get paid for your wages. So if you come back in, you're getting paid. And the joy never left. So
thank goodness.
Yes.
But can we talk about that obedience right there?
Yeah,
that's incredible for you to have felt that prompting to do something. And, a lot of times we can feel powerless. We can experience that feeling or that, truth, conviction that we need to be a part of something, making a difference, making a change. And you didn't just delay with that.
Yeah.
You immediately, next day, the next Monday, that's just mind blowing. Yeah. And then you leave. I think we just need to go back to this for a second. You left a paying job to go volunteer for a job.
Yes. Actually, I told my boss at the time, she's incredible, Joel Hathaway. She's amazing. I told her, hey, I think God's calling me to go volunteer at this place. And I felt so bad that I was quitting my job to go volunteer that I asked her not to pay me for my last week of work.
Oh my goodness.
But she was incredible. Wow. But the biggest part about that is, yes, there was obedience in that, but it was like a fire that I could not do it.
Love that.
I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And who knew that God had this planned?
Yeah.
He did. But yeah.
Oh.
And now all these years later, this past year, you stepped into a new role.
Yes.
It's funny that you have had many name changes in your role, like I have, over the years. I think anybody who's in a nonprofit setting for a number of years, that happens. But you've also moved offices a number of times, which is hilarious.
The
One of
most
our running jokes
of anyone.
Mm-hmm. Like 5 or 6 different times.
Seven.
This is my
seventh
7.
move. Yeah. 7th move.
But hopefully this is the last move. I don't know. Who knows?
Only God knows.
But you are now the director of our parenting program. Yes. And exciting thing is that, we have our parenting program has been called Babies and More for years. Mm-hmm. And we just recently at the end of the year kind of decided to make the shift. And so now we are calling it BFR Academy, just to better encompass that we are really encouraging our clients to learn and to grow. And so it's not just about the items they receive. It's about that, that transformation. And so we're excited about that change. But before we get into more of our program, I would love for you to share, we've been discussing and talking around our vision statement for BFR, which, just to say it again, because I don't think we can ever say it enough, is to have a community where every life is sacred, families are valued, educated, and supported. And so talk to us a little bit about that kind of that ending part of that family aspect. You can talk about any part of that vision statement, but really thinking about, the families that we serve are, sometimes the bottom of the rung in our communities. Mm-hmm. They're the families that, it's a single mom or it's a single dad, or maybe they are together, but they're struggling. They may or may not have jobs. They just can't seem to get afloat. And sometimes can be seen as, kind of less than because of their circumstances. So just talk to us a little bit about this idea that families or every family has value.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think we have to start with what God says about family and people in general. And I was just reminded this morning when I was looking through Psalm 139 of just the intentionality that God has behind life. You know, it was his idea. He initiated it. Not only did he initiate it, he came alongside life as it's forming in the womb intimately, right? I mean, Psalm 139 just goes through all of the details of just how we are intricately woven together, knit together are the words that King David uses. And so we have to start there, right? Life is initiated by God. He cares about it. We should care about it. And the way that I kind of like to look at the different areas that we serve, you know, with our medical, there's a lot of question of life and the balance there. And a lot of times, most often when they're coming on the academy side, they've made the decision, the courageous decision that I'm going to parent in some way, shape, or form, right? And so parenting can look like, and we talk about this with our clients, it can look like single parenting. It can look like co-parenting. It can look like parenting together or choosing the parents through an adoption plan, right? So we have all those different avenues that we can talk around. But the way that I view Academy is it's really about the abundant life that God offers. You know, we're teaching these families what family looks like. A lot of them don't know. A lot of them haven't had a good family influence, you know, a mom and a dad, and just the picture of how God created family and why it's important that we follow his plan in that. And so there's just a lot to be said about just those initial conversations that we have with them about family in general and parenting. Yeah.
That's
So
good.
Yeah.
So good. Yeah. And we started, you know, our podcast with Kim, our last podcast, you know, we started at that foundation of every life has value.
Yeah.
Every life is sacred. And so just continuation of that,
Yeah.
and what you were saying, and that's so beautiful. And so why does it matter to our community though, of like their community to value every family in it?
Well, because if we don't do it, who is going to do it, right? I mean, by us pouring into these clients that come in our doors, we're pouring into our community as well. We are creating lots of little pockets of healthy families, and that's how God created things to work and to work well. And so we have to care about it because God cares about it.
Yeah.
And we have to be intentional about it. You know, we talked about just that step of obedience that I made and just coming on my lunch break. Well, that's because God cared even about the clothes that the clients were receiving. Like I remember, you know, walking in that baby store and there weren't very many things hanging up, and the things that were hanging up, you know, were okay. But I just remember looking at those clothes and thinking, okay, but these clients, this isn't just a pantry. We're not just stopping in, right? This is a education program where they're learning to earn. What are they earning? We want them to earn things with value, right? And so that's how God sees the whole big picture. He cares about the smallest details. And I think that it's important as a community that we care about the smallest details.
Yeah. And the smallest members.
Yes, absolutely.
All of that builds a stronger community and a thriving community. If we have thriving families, we have thriving workplaces, we have thriving, you know, churches, we have, you know, everything thrives.
Absolutely.
When the family is valued and thrives.
Yeah.
All builds upon each other.
Yeah.
So talk to us about how we do that exactly. What does that look like? And if you want to speak to, you know, as Sarah mentioned, the renaming of our Babies and More program to the BFR Academy.
Yes.
Because that is that important piece that we are, these clients are coming in and they are learning and they are earning these items that they work hard to earn.
Yeah.
And so talk to us about how this all works.
Yeah. So with the name change, you know, we were called Babies and More before. And if you take Babies and More and you shorten it, it is BAM. Okay. So you try
really hard not to say that.
It is
very hard.
You try explaining to people when they say, so what do you do for work? Well, I'm a BAM director. Well, what does that mean? You know, so there was a lot of just terminology. And the thing I love about Babies and More is it really does speak around, we aren't just caring for the babies, we're caring for the family, we're caring for the mom, for the dad, we're caring for the things that concern them, right? And so there's lots of and more to the babies part. So it was a beautiful term. However, when changing it to Academy, A lot of that has to do with just the fact that we want it to be understood as this is an educational opportunity. And we wanted the commitment to be there for our clients. Many of them, not many, there are quite a few that have not even made it through high school in some situations. And so they don't really know, they have some negative connotations with education. And so we want to create a positivity around that. Like, hey, you're coming here to be educated around healthy parenting, healthy relationships, and that's a good thing. And it's good to make a commitment to this. Part of the reason for commitment is, we want to have a relationship with you. We don't just want you stopping in once a month.
Yeah.
And it's hard for a lot of them to come around the fact that a complete stranger doesn't see me as a number or a ticket or just another person that walked in the door, but they want to have a relationship with me. Why? Yeah. And isn't that God's heart for us? I want to have a relationship with you. And so many times we're like, why? Yeah. I mean, really. And so we want them to feel that feeling of just, okay, I'm going to be educated and empowered and equipped to be the best parent I can be, but I'm also going to be known. Like, you're going to know my struggles and you're going to support me through them. And it's just a beautiful program.
Can I add something
yes,
to that?
You can.
Just triggered my memory yesterday. So I don't get to see clients in what I do for the most part. I mean, I hear things going on. It's often very loud and vibrant at BFR. But down the hall, just yesterday, I overheard a conversation that was happening, and it was just so beautiful because a client had walked in and she was just bragging to the girl up front. She was so proud of a job that she had landed, and she had just come from work. She was actually bringing a donation herself. And she was dropping off a donation that or items that she no longer needed for her child. And it was just to hear the joy in her voice as she was able to just talk about her new job and how things were going. Yeah. And you're talking about being known. And that is exactly what made a difference in the life of this sweet girl. Yes. And they have someone to come and celebrate that with. And they do. They listen, the moment they have their babies, we have to let them know, hey, it's probably not smart to come straight from the hospital to show us the baby. Like, take some time to heal and, but they do. Like, and that's why our mentors are so amazing. They truly become part of this client's life. And it's beautiful. It really is.
That's awesome. Wow. So you mentioned mentors.
Yes.
So we have a team of around 30, I think.
We're at 35.
35.
Yes, 35 mentors.
And these are women and men.
Yes.
And they come in usually once a week. Some maybe come in a little bit more for a shift, and they work one-on-one with our clients, which is beautiful. Talk a little bit more about that mentorship and what that means to both our mentees and our mentors.
Yeah. So when a client joins the program, they're going to meet initially with me. And the point of that is obviously so that I can hear their story and know how to best, equip them and educate them in the situation they're in. And something that we talk around is just, again, their parenting options that we talked about, early on. But also just around the fact that as a parent, we are thinking of them holistically. Because that's how God thinks of them. We're thinking about them mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, because all of those things make up who you are as a person, but also as a parent. And so we take some time and just talk through those things. Like, okay, what's our ground right here? Like, what are we working with, and how can we partner with you and, inspire growth? And so, we talk with them just about meeting with the mentors, and each week that they're coming in for an appointment, they're going to meet with a mentor, preferably the same mentor each week that they come. As Sarah said, like, our mentors are scheduled. We have morning and afternoon shifts. And so if Karen, comes in every Wednesday afternoon, she's coming weekly on Wednesdays in the afternoon. So if a client, meets with Karen the first time and they really connect, she can keep meeting with Karen every Wednesday afternoon. Now, we do let them take vacations. We can't just, and our clients truly, they feel sad when that mentor is out sick or that mentor might be gone on vacation. They feel that gap, and it's just wonderful. And they walk alongside them. A client can join our program anytime from pregnancy through till the child turns 1. And then we will partner with them on their parenting journey until that child turns 2. So if they're joining the program early on in their pregnancy, we get a good 2.5, 3 years of, mentoring, education, prayer, support, and discipleship. That's a lot of time that we get to spend with them. Yeah.
So when a client comes in and they meet with that mentor at that appointment, talk to us a little bit about, what that looks like when they meet with them. What is that time spent doing? We're obviously doing education, parenting education, but can you go into a little bit more detail about what that looks like?
Yeah. So our mentor spends, the first about 15, 20 minutes with them. Again, just kind of catching up, getting to know. Our mentors are trained to kind of discern in that moment, hey, is this client really going through a crisis situation right now where they just need to talk and need someone to listen? And we do try to be flexible and have that opportunity for them during that appointment. But on a typical appointment, if they're not going through something like that, they would spend about 15, 20 minutes just catching up with that client, asking how we can pray for them. And then the next 20-ish minutes or so, they would spend time on their class. And so for our classes, we use 2 different platforms. We use Bright Course, which is evidence-based curriculum. And it really, hundreds of classes. It goes from pregnancy milestones all the way through those beginning infant stage years and the toddler years of potty training and tantrums. And then it goes into relationships, like positive partnerships. What does it look like to have healthy co-parenting skills? And then it talks around marriage, making the marriage choice. And then it has, some harder conversations in some of those classes about domestic abuse and healing from relationship loss or grieving. And so there are all these different subjects that we can navigate with our clients. Life skills, they have budgeting and credit scores. And now as much support as I had, I didn't know about all that. When I got married, I had no credit score at all. I didn't know I should be trying to build that up. So just support around those different areas. And it can change based on what the client needs for that particular season. But the other thing that we like to use is Right Now Media. And it's one of my favorite things since stepping into this role. I try to do a monthly focus, and a lot of times it's through Right Now Media. So like in October, we did one on like domestic violence. And then this month, we are doing one on just love, perfect love by Lisa Harper, because many of our clients, of course, are coming in not sure what love really is. And this also gives a great segue for many clients that come in. Again, we talk about where they're at, and many of them come in spiritually having no beliefs whatsoever. And so when we have these class focuses, it almost gives them a way to kind of navigate and be curious about the faith, but not be committed to figuring it out. Does that make sense? Like, oh, well, since you're telling me this is the class highlight, well, then I need to watch this about love, and they're going to hear truth and they're going to hear the word of God. And so that's just a great way and a great resource that God uses to grow them spiritually and, of course, as parents.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we could probably sit here and talk forever about our program because it's so robust and it's so incredible, and there's so many different avenues, and we're going to get to explore some of those in upcoming podcast. But I just appreciate you sharing a little bit more of an inside scoop on that. And we didn't even get to that. Our clients are not only getting all this education and support and mentoring, but they're also receiving physical items that they need, like formula and diapers and wipes and those really needed things. But as we know, it's not the most important. That might be why they're coming in initially. But by the time that they are there in our program for a little bit, they realize, oh, I'm here for way more than that.
Absolutely. And that's part of it. That's part of just helping bridge that gap. We know that they have physical needs. We know that they do, and we want to meet them there, but we care about them as a person, and those
Absolutely.
other things matter as well.
Yeah, so beautiful. So if somebody's listening, Danielle, and they've heard your story and they've heard all of that we're doing, and they're just like, man, something's stirring, in their hearts and in their minds. And like, what would you say to somebody who might be feeling that little push like you felt?
I would say do what I did. Just take one step of obedience. And, at the time, it's really funny because I'm sort of an all or nothing person. And so it's really funny to think back on that and think I wasn't overwhelmed, that that's all I could give. But I think in thinking around like, okay, how can I partner? Just do the next thing that the Lord has laid on your heart. And go to the website. I mean, we have on our website, bartowfamilies.com, we have get involved. Literally click get involved and just do something. Write in the comment section of that inquiry. Write, hey, this is what I'm gifted in. How can I help? How could you use my gifts? And just let us pray on it and contemplate it and trust that the Lord has purpose in anything any time or anything you can do or give.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Danielle. This has been incredible. I love hearing you talk. I don't know why. I just do.
We go way back.
We do. We do. But I really appreciate your heart and hearing about our families and why that's important. So, well, I don't really want to end, but we're going to have to end. It's time. Everybody's probably listening going, man, this is going long. And we just can't stop.
No, we can't. No, it's too good. Well, we really appreciate you joining us this week on the Life Podcast with BFR. We want to encourage you guys and listeners to subscribe and share the podcast. And as always, if you have a topic that you would like for us to cover or story that you want to share, please reach out to us.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.